All right. So turn to your homework 683, 1 through 24. I want to go over these questions with you. This is solving exponents. Tonight's homework is worksheet number 46. No, today's 47. And then I need you to cut me 9 pieces of butcher paper so that I'm actually 18. For a good period. All right, so turn that light on for me, please. I want to start off with some of the most commonly asked questions that you got. Yes, you heard. Oh, you're right. This is 11.5. Thank you. So I'm going to go over the ones that they were commonly asked to me. And I know that you already did them, but I want them to be part of your notes for today. So please turn back, and now I need you guys to write down the notes. Elizabeth, did you bring your calculator today? Okay, so are you going to stand tomorrow if you don't have a calculator? So here we go. This is 2.4 times the square root of 2p to the 5th, q to the 9th. Do you mind cutting it in the hallway, babes? Because I don't want the sound to come out in the video, please. Thank you. And this is negative 3.1 times the square root of 2p cubed. So whenever we're multiplying square roots, you guys, anybody that's outside of the square root is going to get multiplied. So you're automatically, take out your highlighters, please. I need you to highlight. You're automatically going to multiply these two because they're outside of the square root. So you're going to do 2.4 times negative 3.1. And that's negative 7.44. Then you're going to multiply everything that's under the square root and then put those together. So this entire square root and this entire square root are going to be under one square root now. And that's how we're going to get 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. P to the 5th times p, that's p to the 6th. Q to the 9th, and q cubed, that's q to the 12th. So from here, I just need to take the square root of each one, which is the square root of 4, the square root of p to the 6th, and the square root of q to the 12th. Well, you know what the square root of 4 is. It's just 2. And this is the part a lot of you guys had questions. What value, when I square it, do I get p to the 6th? Alright, let's try it in a pencil. Let's see. If I put p here, is p squared p to the 6th?
P cubed.
How about p squared? Is p squared give me p to the 6th? So p what?
Cubed.
P cubed. P cubed squared gives me p to the 6th. Isn't 3 times 2 6? So what's the square root of p to the 6th? P cubed. Everybody see that? What's p cubed times p cubed? P to the 6th. What's 2 times 2? 4. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of p to the 6th is p cubed. Yes or no? So what's the square root of q to the 12th? Q to the 6th. So these right here are the square roots of these numbers. So I'm going to bring down this negative 7.44. God bless you. The square root of 4 is just 2. The square root of p to the 6 is p cubed. And the square root of q12 is q6. So my final answer is you're just going to multiply these two together. Negative 14.88 p cubed q to the 6. Questions on number 2? Alright, another common question I got was number 4. I want to do as many as we can so we can finish making our poster. I have the square root of r cubed t to the 5th divided by the square root of rt to the 4th. Remember, when I take a square root, that's the same thing as writing it to the 1/2 power. So now, I'm going to distribute this 1/2 to everything. So that's going to be r to the 3/2 t to the 5/2 over r to the 1/2, and then half of 4 is just t squared. Questions so far? Alright, so remind me from, I don't know, 4 years ago when you learned exponents. If you have x to the 8th on top and x cubed, what does that equal? Y x to the 5th. You cancel and then you end up subtracting 8 minus 3, right? So whenever you divide exponents, you subtract. So aren't we dividing here? So this time we're going to subtract. These two are going to get subtracted, and then these two are going to get subtracted. Yes, sir. From where, babe? From this part here? No, you have a square root right here. So it's not r cubed. It's really r to the 3/2. You mean like put it under one big square root and subtract? You'll eventually get the same thing now, as long as you make sure to keep it under the square root. Yeah. Alright, so now we just have to subtract. Well, what's 3/2 minus 1/2? Guys, it's a common denominator. What's 3/2 minus 1/2? 2/2, which is just 1. So you just r. 2/2. And then what's 5/2 minus 2? What is 5/2, you guys? Isn't it 2.5? Isn't 5/2 2.5? Yes. So what's 2.5? That's $2.50 minus 2. Just a half. So you're left with r and then t to the 1/2, which is r times the square root of t. Let's take a look at number 6. -7 times the 4th root of x over 5 times the cube root of x. This is the same thing as negative 7 times x to the what? If there's a fourth root this time, x to the 1/4. What about the denominator? 5 times x to the, what does this 3 mean? 1/3. You guys, please stop making those noises when I'm recording, please. Thank you. All right, so we have again exponents, and we're going to subtract. Are we going to subtract negative 7 minus 5? When is the only time you subtract? If it's an exponent. You're not going to go negative 7 minus 5. These are whole numbers. You're going to divide these numbers. But you are going to subtract these exponents right here. Can you do that for me, please? 1/4 minus 1/3. Do it on your own. So here, what'd you get?
Negative 1/12.
Negative 1/12. So when you get this, you get negative 1/12. So it's x to the 1/4 minus x to the 1/3 is negative 1/12. So this part right here is going to give you x to the negative 1/12, and then negative 7 divided by 5. That just means you're going to have a negative 7 on top and a 5 on the bottom. Now, if there's a negative exponent, that means it goes in the denominator. So that's negative 7 over 5 times the 12th root of x. This is officially the answer. But I have to do what's called rationalize the denominator. Please write this word down because it's so common. We've been doing this since Math 1. You're not supposed to leave an answer with a denominator that has a square root in it. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the top and the bottom to get rid of that square root of 12x on the bottom. So what you're going to do is here, if I have negative 7 over 5 times the 12th root of x, I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 11 of them. Sorry, it's like this. 11 of them. Sorry about that. I'm going to do 11 of these because 11 plus that 1 is going to give me 12 of them. And 12 root of x gets rid of that x. So look at the final answer. You get negative 7 times the 12th root of 11 of them, because that's what you have on top, over this 12th root of x times the 12th root of 11. That's just going to give you an x because that's 12 of them total times 5. Now, Ms. Riad, do we have to know all this? You have to practice this for sure, because on the test I might give you the answer like this, or I might give you the answer like this, and you just have to recognize that they mean the same thing. So if this is the only part that you're stuck on, don't worry. We're going to have about 2 or 3 more of these. But what is the moral of the story is you multiply the denominator by how many more you need to get rid of the square root. So since this is the 12th root of x, you only have one x here. You need 12 of them. So you're going to do 11 of them. And 11 plus 1 is 12. And the 12th root of x to the 12 gives you that. x. Everybody see that? Say yes or no. What's the x to the 12th? You take the 12th root, you get x. But you only have one here, so you need to give me another 11. But whatever you do to the denominator, you need to go to the numerator. So if you do a 12th root of x to the 11th on the bottom, you need to do the 12th root of x to the 11th to the top. Which is why, ooh, this should say x to the 11th. Thank you. This is so ugly. Can I rewrite this? 12th root of x to the 11th. Is that what you had your hand up for, Micaiah? I'm going to do another one right now. It's called rationalizing the denominator. So this is the 12th root of x to the 11th. Sorry about that. Liz, are you good? Kirsten, are you guys good? Where did he go? Just put your head down for a good 10 minutes? Way to go, buddy. Come on, you gotta fight the illness, honey. You gotta fight it, fight it, fight it. Alright, can you guys do me a favor? Can you please try this doyo and see how far you can get without me? Can you try 9.8? This is number 8. A cubed b to the 4th over the 4th root of 16 a to the 8 and b to the 6. Yes, I see your review sign, please. The review sign. You should have gotten 4.9 times the square root of AB over A. All right, let's move on to number 14, please. Now with adding and subtracting. Can you speak up, honey? Square root of b? Yeah, remember the a square root on the bottom? You're not allowed to have it. So you have to multiply top and bottom by the square root of a. All right, you guys got to this part right here? You guys got to this? 4.9 times the square root of b over the square root of a. Did you at least get that? You guys got this part? You're not allowed to have a square root in the bottom. What did Mr. Riad say we got to do? Multiply by? We have to rationalize the denominator by multiplying by? Just one more square root of a, because this is a square root. This isn't an 11th root or a 12th root or a 15th root. It's just a square, so you need one more. So you have to multiply top and bottom by the square root of a. So that's why you get square root of a and b, and then a square root of a times the square root of a is just a. All right, number 14. I have 8.2 times the cube root of C6D9 minus 6.5 square root, sorry, fifth root of C10D15. Alright, so I'm not allowed to multiply these. I am now subtracting. I don't get to multiply anything. So here this just stays as 8.2. The cube root of c to the 6. The cube root of c to the 6 is just c squared. How am I getting that? Well, c squared cubed gives me c to the 6th. Now I want to know here, d what cubed gives me 9. Well, that's a 3. So that's why this is d cubed. And then I'm going to subtract 6.5. Now I want the fifth root, c to the 10. Think of it this way, you guys. This is 10 people, and you want them in groups of 5. How many groups is that? 2. So that's why this is c squared. How about here? 15 people, and you want them in groups of 5. How many groups is that? 3. That's why that's d cubed. So this is c squared d cubed. This is c squared d cubed. These are like terms. So now it's 8.2 minus 6.5. This is the same thing, you guys, as like 8x minus 6.5x. Like, this is the same thing. It's the same exact thing. They're the same term. But of course, instead of x, we're dealing with c squared d cubes. So when you subtract these two, you're going to get 1.7 c squared d cubed. Let's try number 16. I have 9 times the square root, cube root of R4S3 minus 2 square root R4S3. This is a cube root. This is a square root, not the same thing. And then another 3 cube root of R4S3. Do me a favor and plug in the Chromebook so it doesn't die. This and this are the same terms. Be convinced. There's a cube, there's a cube. There's a root, there's a root. There's an R4, R4, S3, S3. They're exact same term. And you're subtracting them. So then I'm going to get 6 cube root of R4S3. And then subtract that from 2 square root R4S3. All right, this cube root, Heidi, we just did this 5 times, so help me out. This cube root is the same thing as to what power? No, a cube root is the same thing as what power? Look at the last 3 examples. No, how can it be the same, babe? Cube root is the same thing as 1/3. Very good. Kyle, head up, please. So if this is a square root, Heidi, then it's the same thing as what power? 1/2. Very good. All right, let's distribute this bad boy. God bless you, honey. I have a 6, r to the 4/3, s to the 3/3, so that's just s. And then 2, r to the 4/2, s to the 3/2. So this is 6 . This is the same thing as the cube root with 4 people in it. This is just S. This is just a 2. What's 4 divided by 2? What's going to happen here? R squared. Good. This is the same thing as 3 people, but I want groups of 2. Help me out here, you guys. If I have 4 people, Kyle, sit up, put your glasses on. Thank you. If I have 4 people and I want groups of 3, how many groups can I have? Ready? There's 4 people. I need a group of 3. How many groups am I going to be able to have? Just, how do you have 2 full groups? There's only 4 people and I need a group of 3. How many can I have? Just 1. Who's going to be left over? How many people are going to be left over? 1. So how do you tell people 1 comes and 1 gets left over? You have that 6, that's right here. 1 group gets to come because 3 of them got extracted, but you still have 1 guy left over. And then here's the S. Here, this is 2R squared. Ready? You have a group of 3. And how many people do you want? A square root. How many people is that? 2. So how many groups can you pull out? Just 1. And then there's how many people left over? 1. Let's clean all this up. By the way, there's a minus sign in between each one of these. Let's clean this up. Ready? The correct way to write this would be the 6 and then the R and then bring that S over. So 6RS times the cube root of R. Let's clean this one up. Actually, this one's actually in pretty good order. 2R squared S and then rad S. 2R squared S rad S. We're going to do number 20 and then we're going to make our posters. We made some for this period, right? You guys are straight killing me. I want you guys to put these with exponents in the top. Say your value schedule, babe. Can you tell me what time the value is, please? All right, Heidi, we're going to do it again. We're going to put the exponents. Liz, please sit up. We're going to put the exponents up here as fractions, okay? So here's my 3. Here's my x7, y to the 4th. To what power, Heidi? Is that a 3 right here? Very good. 1/2. Good job. This one is going to be 1/3. So just so that you can highlight, Kirsten, hurry up. This right here is this. I'll wait till you guys highlight too. I have my 3 degrees. I already know this. Can you do that with me, please? Can you please highlight? This is this. And then the bottom one is going to be 9x cubed y to the 10th to the 1/2. You okay, babe? Yeah. Alright, no common denominator needed or anything. Just like power it up. Here we go. 3x to the 7 halves y to the 4/2, 8x to the 6/3, y to the 4/3, 9x to the 3/2, y 10 to the 10/2. You just distributed all the exponents. Remind me back in the day, if I gave you x to the 5th and x cubed, what's the answer? Why? What did you do with these two? Add them up. So you're going to do the same thing here. Add these up, but then when you divide, what do? You're going to subtract, okay? So we're going to add these first. Are you going to add 3 plus 8? What are you going to do with that 3 and that 8? Does this say divide? 3 divided by 8? What does that say? We're going to multiply, you guys. So we're going to multiply 3 times 8, which is?
24.
All right, so on top I have a 24. What's 7/2 plus 6/3? What's 6/3?
2.
2. Where'd I get the what?
9x
You distribute the 1/2. What's 7/2 plus 6/3? Or what's 7/2 plus 2? You guys, what's 7/2? Isn't it 3.5? So what's 3.5 plus another 2? 5.5. How do you write that? 5.5. How do you write that? No, 5 over 2 is 2.5. What's 5.5? 11 over 2. So this is x to the 11 over 2. You can't do that in your head. It's okay. You're just going to have to write it out and add it in common denominator. You don't have to do that. That's fine. What's 4/2?
2.
2. What's 4/3? 1 and 1/3. What's 1 and 1/3 plus 2? 3 and 1/3. How do you write that? 10/3. All right, over 9x to the 3/2, and what's y? Can I just put this y to the 5th, right? Because 10 divided by 2 is 5. All right, now what do we do with these numbers? We're going to subtract. Can you do that, please, and tell me what you get? What did we forget, guys? Sorry, go back up here. You see that 8 is under the square root? Under the cube root? Do you guys see that? So what did we forget to do right here? Ready? See how this is under the cube root? See that 1/3? What did we forget to put right here? 8 to the 1/3. Can you do that for me?
How'd you get 9x to y
That's part of the question. That's the question, babe. It's part of the question.
Oh, so it's over that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys, just because of time, I want to make sure that you have the answer because you have to make your posters for the round robin. The final answer is negative 2x to the 4th over y times the cube root of y squared. I do want you to make sure that you get that by the end. Posters should be next to your desk. Here are the assignments for each group. This is from the review assignment. I need you guys to make your posters before the end of the day. Tomorrow is your quiz and the retake.